Saturday night is all right for making conference championship game predictions. This is getting a little easier as we go week by week in the playoffs. Had to do 6 picks for wild card weekend. Only had to do 4 last week. And then this week, just 2. Both games tomorrow. You saw Andy 8010's picks last night on the audio. He is waffling over that Bills-Chiefs game. But don't worry, you won't get that on this channel. You won't get that from Frank Addington. You will only get resolute picks for the championship games. And here we go. We got 2 big ones coming up. I think the NFL, I think the networks, I think all the fans, even the fans of other teams are excited about these games. I think we do have the best, arguably the best 4 teams left in the National Football League. And so I'm going to give you my picks. Duck, don't worry, it's going to be about a 5-minute video, so you won't have to sit around and wait for my picks. Don't worry. All right. The 2024 NFC NFC Championship game is upon us tomorrow, January 26, 2025, 3 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox. We'll have Burkhardt and Brady coming to you live from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Should be sunny, should be pretty good weather during that game. We have the 6th seed Washington Commanders taking on the 2 seed Philadelphia Eagles. It's an NFC East Conference Championship game. First time between these 2 teams in the NFC title game. We've had the Cowboys and the Eagles before in this game. We've had Redskins, Giants in this game. We've had Redskins, Cowboys, but never this matchup. Commanders trying to become the 3rd team in NFL history to be a 6th seed and take out the top 3 seeds in the conference, joining the 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers, who pulled that off in the rigged season, and then the 2010 Green Bay Packers, who did the same thing. We look at our head coaches for this game. We have Dan Quinn, his first season in Washington, and his conference. These are the conference championship game records for each coach and each quarterback. Dan Quinn is 1-0 in the NFC Championship. His lone win, his lone appearance, coming for the Falcons when they defeated the San Francisco 49ers back in the 2016 season. And then we have Nick Sirianni, who of course played John's Mount Union Purple Raiders way back in the late 90s. And he is making his 2nd NFC title game appearance. He's 1-0. He won 2 years ago, also against the San Francisco 49ers. And then the starting quarterbacks, we have for the Commanders, number 5, Jaden Daniels, who is a rookie quarterback out of LSU. Of course, making his first NFC title game appearance, trying to become the first rookie court signal caller to start in a Super Bowl. It has never happened. Only a few quarterbacks have even made it to the conference championship games. Sean King of the Buccaneers back in '99. And then we had we had Ben Roethlisberger of the Steelers back in '04. And then Joe Flacco in '08. Mark Sanchez in '09. And Brock Purdy in 2022. So he would make history if they win this game. And then for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts in his 5th campaign out of Oklahoma, starting his 2nd NFC title game. He's 1-0. He won that game against San Francisco 2 years ago to get to the Super Bowl, and he had a great Super Bowl performance in a loss. We also have franchise title games. For Washington, this is its seventh appearance in the title game. They beat the Cowboys back in '72. They beat the Cowboys in '82. They beat the 49ers in '83. They lost to the New York Giants in '86. They beat the Minnesota Vikings in '87. They beat the Detroit Lions in '91. And they're back 33 years later in the NFC title game. The Philadelphia Eagles making their ninth appearance. They defeated the Cowboys back in 1980, and then they took a long time, but they got back and lost to the Rams in '99, and then they lost in no, not '99. They lost 0-1 to the Rams, and then to the Buccaneers in 2002. They went back and lost to the Panthers in 2003. They went back for a fourth year in a row in 2004, beat the Falcons, went back in '08, lost to the Cardinals, and then they returned in 2017, and they beat, who did they beat that year? I'm stumped on this one. Was it the Packers? Could have been the Packers. And then they came back in 2022, and they beat the 49ers. So this is their ninth appearance in the NFC title game. All right, so head-to-head playoff history. These two teams have been in the NFL for a long time, but they've only squared off once in the NFL playoffs. That lone time coming in the 1990 season, January 5th, 1991, at Veterans Stadium. That was a game that saw they were both wild card teams. The way they did it back then was a little different. So the Giants won the division that year handedly, 13-3. But also the Eagles and Redskins made the playoffs as well as wild cards. Philly won both 10-6. Philly won the tiebreaker to host that game at Veterans Stadium, which the Redskins won 20-6. Now there's a little backstory on this game, because earlier in the season, both teams squared off in a memorable game also at Veterans Stadium on Monday Night Football. They came into this game, Redskins 5-3, Eagles 4-4, and this game is forever known as the body bag game. So this game, the term originated before the game. There's a lot of smack talk. Buddy Ryan, the Eagles head coach, saying we're going to inflict so much pain on the Skins that they're going to need body bags. And this was a team, the Eagles, that had Randall Cunningham at quarterback, had his maybe his best season at least yet in his NFL career. He had incredible passing skills. He ran for about 950 yards to lead the Eagles team in rushing. He was way ahead of his time as far as a dual threat quarterback. In 1990, that really did not exist. You had some scrambling quarterbacks going all the way back to Fran Tarkenton, and then you had, more recently, you had players like Steve Young and Steve McNair and guys like that who were pretty good. John Elway, good. They could scramble, but there was no such thing as a dual threat that frightened the defense. Randall Cunningham was really the first of these types of quarterbacks. He was like Axl Rose in the same year. He was a can't miss attraction. And it would be a decade later before we saw a quarterback come into the league even close to Randall Cunningham, Michael Vick in 2001. But it was the defense on those Eagles teams, late 80s, early 90s, that really stood out. They were loaded on defense. Eric Allen at quarterback, Wes Hopkins also at safety, I think. That defensive line, Clyde Simmons. They had Jerome Brown, may he rest in peace. People forget how great Jerome Brown was. A defensive tackle. He would die in the offseason in a tragic accident. And of course, the Minister of Defense, Reggie White, number 92, maybe the greatest defensive player in NFL history. Byron Evans at linebacker. This team was absolutely just loaded. This coming into this game, wow, it was there's a lot of smack talk. This is back when there were true rivalries. You had Buddy Ryan talking smack, saying the Redskins are going to be body bags. You had Bill Parcells with the Giants. You had Buddy Ryan allegedly putting out a bounty on one of Jimmy Johnson's kickers. So there was a lot of bad blood back then in the NFC East. And Joe Gibbs, was a nice guy, but he used a lot of motivational tactics as well to get his team ready against those NFC East teams, except for the Cardinals. They didn't really count. But in this game, you had at Veterans Stadium, Monday Night Football. Starting at quarterback for the Redskins was longtime Giants backup Jeff Rutledge, who earned the start in this game for coming in relief the previous week at the Silverdome and leading a Frank Reich type comeback against the Lions in that game. Kind of channeled some Frank Reich there and earned the start for that Monday night. But in this game, he was knocked out of the game. There were 9 Redskins who got left the game with injuries in that game. Buddy Ryan called it. So Rutledge had to be carted off, and then they put in Stan Humphries. Yes, the Stan Humphries, who 4 years later would lead the San Diego Chargers to their lone Super Bowl appearance. Still the only Charger quarterback to lead that franchise to a Super Bowl. Stan the Man Humphries. He came in. He had an ACL season-ending injury, had to be carted off the field on a stretcher. Mark Rippon was inactive because he had been injured before, and they had Gary Hogeboom as insurance, but he was not active for that game, and he was in street clothes. So they had to put in their emergency quarterback in that game, Brian Mitchell, who is a rookie from Southwest Louisiana, backup running back, special teams player. He would go on to amass the second most total yards in NFL history behind only Jerry Rice. Brian Mitchell, number 30, should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but is not. He came in because he had played a little quarterback in college in an option school, small school, and he came in and led the Skins down the field on a drive and ran in for a touchdown. And you had Eagles on the sidelines. You could hear an Eagle player on the sidelines saying, "You guys need any more body bags?" as they were carting Redskins off the field. So the Eagles won that game 28-14 on that Monday night. It was a low moment for the Skins, but it proved to be a catalyst for that organization, and it would be kind of the factor that turned the organization around and got them motivated. They went into Philadelphia a couple months later and took down the Philadelphia Eagles in the wild card game, and that was Buddy Ryan's last game. They knocked him out of Philadelphia. Ernest Biner, fumbled in this game. Does that sound familiar, John? However, it was an apparent fumble, but and it was returned for a touchdown by rookie safety Ben Smith of the Eagles. And in a huge turn of events and turn of momentum, replay showed that the ground, that turf at Veterans Stadium, caused the fumble. So it was reversed and the fortunes changed, and the Redskins won, and they would go on to lose the next week at Candlestick Park against the San Francisco 49ers, who were seeking a three-peat that year, and they would not get it. Sounds like this year, doesn't it? A three-peat. Someone is trying to do that this year. And that is the only game that these two have played in NFL playoff history, and this is number 2 right here. I talk about that great defense that the Eagles had back then with the Buddy Ryan teams. Well, this team, this 2024 Philadelphia Eagles team, is close. Yeah, they're maybe a little underachieving, but they have a lot of great defensive players, led by, of course, the great Bulldog, Jalen Carter. He reminds me of Aaron Donald. He's a single-man wrecking crew. They also have Jordan Davis, his former teammate at Georgia, on the defensive end. Linebacker Greg Bond is an all-pro. And then in the secondary, you have 2 great rookies. Nolan Smith, also at linebacker. He's got 3 sacks in the playoffs. Don't forget about him. At Rio on August 30th, the thing I focused on was in the playoffs for the Eagles this year would be that offensive line, the best in the league, and that defensive line, probably the best in the league. This will probably be the determining factor. If you look at the Commanders, they have no run blocking. They have an injured, that ACL tear for right guard Sam Cosmi last week against Detroit will prove to be detrimental to them. With Jalen Carter on the inside, it's going to be very difficult to account for him now with one of their better guards out now. The cold, I think it'll be pretty chilly, and so you're going to see more runs in this game. It's going to be a lot of running. Clearly from Barkley, who had his way with the Commanders back in December. And in this game, more runs is bad for the Commanders because they have no running game. And it's not going to, and not only do they not have a running game, they're going up against one of the best run defenses. No rookie quarterback has ever made it to a Super Bowl. That stays the same here. It's been a great run for the Commanders. It ends in Philadelphia tomorrow around 6 o'clock. So the line in this game is Eagles holding at 6.5. It's been pretty much staying there. Now the biggest surprise for me is this. The Pick'ems you guys have Philadelphia only 56%. This is, I don't know what's going on with that. That is very surprising. And earlier in the week, it was like 59%, and it's like people are starting to move. Okay, all right. Well, typically these kind of things everything kind of falls apart when a magical run ends like this, especially against a dominant team like Philadelphia Eagles. They are, all the pressure is on them, but all these veteran players, they've won this game before, one of the best teams, maybe the best roster in the NFL, I think, and they can't lose to a rookie quarterback with no running game. with no offensive line, no run defense. So I got Commanders still getting. I think they're going to get 20 points, and then Eagles got a 2-touchdown game there, so 34-20. That's about right. All right, so there's my pick for the NFC Championship game. Are you ready for the AFC Championship game? I think this would be the game of the week, easily. Here it comes, guys. And here we go again, guys. When the Bills beat the Chiefs, almost. I know some. Where's the error, guys? Where's the mistake? Okay. Let's see, right here. Okay. When the Bills beat the Chiefs earlier this season, Mahomes said to Allen as they greeted going off the field, was it see you in January? Yeah. You knew. Sunday, all right. Tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. We got Jim Nantz, Tony Romo on the call. CBS. It's going to be some good helmet knocking AFL type action, guys. Some old classic AFL teams. And this one we got our head coaches. We got the number 2 seed Buffalo Bills at the 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs. Once again, the 1 and 2 going head to head at Arrowhead. The head coach for the Bills, Sean McDermott, is 0-1. Surprised he's only been a 1 AFC Championship. 0-1 in the AFC Championship. And then starting quarterback Josh Allen is 0-1 in championship game play. His backup quarterback is on the sideline will be Mitch Trubisky, who was drafted ahead of Patrick Mahomes in 2017. Remember that one, Bears? And then so the Chiefs, Andy Reid, 5-6 in conference championship game play. He was 1-4 with the Eagles in the NFC championships, and he is 4-2 in the AFC championship games, making his 12th conference championship game appearance and his 7th in a row. His quarterback is also making his 7th in a row. Patrick Mahomes, he is 4-2 in the AFC championship game. The only teams he lost to is the Patriots 2018 season and the Bengals in the 2021 season. Franchise title games, the Bills are 4-2. They lost the Bengals back in '88, and then they went to 4 in a row, of course, 1-4 in a row. They beat the Broncos, they beat the Dolphins, they beat the Chiefs, and they beat the Broncos, they beat the Dolphins. Help me out here. They beat the Raiders, they beat the Broncos, they beat the Dolphins, and the Chiefs. I don't think any of you guys knew that, so stop. Stop with that. All right, so then they lost to the Chiefs. All right, so here we go. And the Chiefs are 4-3 in the AFC title game. Of course, all 4 wins coming in this era. 2 of the losses coming in this era. The other one coming back in the Marty Schottenheimer era. Remember the Super Bowl they won, Super Bowl 4. That was the last year before they had conference championship games. So they won the AFL championship and the Super Bowl. All right, so head-to-head playoff history, a little bit more than the Eagles and Redskins Commanders, a lot more. We go all the way back to New Year's Day of 1967. The AFL championship game, boys. This one was a helmet knocking football game, and it was in Buffalo. So that's kind of weird. They had like home field in those AFL championships at War Memorial Stadium in Buffalo. Schaukenator remembers this stadium. He informed me that they called it the Old Rock Pile. I was not familiar with that term. So it was the Chiefs coming out on top. Mike Garrett, great running back for them, a couple of touchdowns. And you had Lynn Dawson. I think he also threw one touchdown pass in that game, maybe two. The Chiefs winning that game. And the Chiefs would advance, or they won the AFL championship that year, and they would advance to the NFL championship game, also known as Super Bowl I, against Vince Lombardi's Green Bay Packers, which they lost that game. In this game, the Buffalo Bills had a linebacker on the team, and his name was, a little trivia, his name was Marty Schottenheimer. Go forward 25 years to 1992, and it was Marty Schottenheimer, head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, going up against his old team, the Buffalo Bills, in the divisional round game, big game against the mighty Buffalo Bills, trying to get their third straight Super Bowl. And this one was all about, well, Thurman Thomas, 100 yards rushing, paving the way, but also Kenneth Davis, who was a great backup for Thurman Thomas, had 75 yards himself. So they really tore it up on the ground that day against the Chiefs. Dave Craig, the quarterback for the Chiefs, went down. No, not Dave Craig. Was it Steve DeBerg? Yeah, Steve DeBerg went down with, same thing, went down with injury in that game. And it was coming in relief, the one and only, for those of you, Darth, and the rest of you who are Tecmo Super Bowl fans, they put in the Pickle Man, Mark Vlasic, who came in and pitched 4 interceptions in that game. That's right, the Pickle Man himself, Mark Vlasic, played in this beatdown as the Chiefs lost. The Bills won. They would go on to win the AFC Championship game. A couple of years later, the two teams squared off, but it was a little bit different as far as the players. You had the AFC Championship game at Rich Stadium, and yeah, it was the Bills trying to advance their 4th Super Bowl in a row, and they won this game 30-13. Thurman Thomas, the Hall of Famer, 186 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, single-handedly destroyed the Chiefs. And the other story in this game was Joe Montana, starting quarterback for the Chiefs, was knocked out of the game. This will be his final appearance in the National Football League. As the Chiefs' run ended with Marty Schottenheimer, this Chiefs team, it is impressive how far Joe Montana took that team. They had hardly any other weapons on offense, but it was an amazing run for the Chiefs. They would not make it back to the NFC Championship until 2018, Patrick Mahomes. So the next matchup between these two teams, January 24th, all these dates are always like the same. January 24th, 4 years ago, 2021. And it was, in this game, this was the AFC Championship yet again. This is the most memorable game between these two teams in the playoffs or ever. This was the one, of course, where it was at Arrowhead, and yep, no, not this one. Sorry, the next one. So this game, Chiefs won pretty easily. You had Travis Kelce with a touchdown, Tyreek Hill with a touchdown. They were firing on all cylinders. They would go on to win the Super Bowl that year. All right. No. That's not right. Yes. No. They were going to lose the Super Bowl to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. This year. Yeah, they got to the Super Bowl, lost to the Buccaneers. This was the most memorable game between these two teams ever. One of the most memorable games in NFL history. January 23rd, 2022, the divisional round game. Oh my goodness. This was the one where Bills had it by the balls. Special teams coach made a dumb decision. 13 seconds left. They had it. And in 13 seconds, Mahomes magic. Got him in field goal position. Hit the field goal. Overtime. What do you think's going to happen in overtime? That's right. The man himself, Travis Kelce, with the walk-off touchdown. Oh, man. Incredible. And then, last year, once again, Bills had it by the balls. This one in Orchard Park, leading in the second half. The week before, Tracy Wolfson, after the win, the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round, interviewing him, asking about the Chiefs. He soiled his pants on national television. And sure enough, the next week in Buffalo, they had the lead and they gagged on their own balls, losing once again to the Kansas City Chiefs. History repeats itself. Incredible. 3 in a row during this era. They can't do it. Or can they? Can they do it this week? Andy's been waffling over this pick. Let's see what Peters picks for this one. Yep, this one, this was Tyler Bass had a huge missed field goal. He choked on his own balls too, just like Allen. Yeah, well, no, sorry, that was in the regular season game this year. All right. Bills need a perfect game. I'll go back to this game. I remember Bills winning the AFC Championship game over the Chiefs. Piss them off and go for 4 was the chant. All right? Piss them off and go for 4. And yes, they did. Nobody wanted the Bills to the Super Bowl. And now it's piss them off and go for 3 Super Bowl championships. Can the Chiefs do it? Could we have history being made? Could we have the first rookie quarterback in the Super Bowl? And then the first three-peat is the NFL's white whale, the three-peat. No team has even made it back to the Super Bowl as they're defending as they're going for a three-peat. Could the Chiefs be the first one to pull that off? Bills need a perfect game. You can't have turnovers. They really need to do well in time of possession. The Bills' defense is the thing that I'm looking at here. The Bills they have an okay defense. It's not a defense that scares anyone. I think last week against the Houston Texans, they surprised the Texans a little bit with the way they ran that defense. And God, did I say the Texans? Last week, the Bills against the Ravens, I think they really surprised the Ravens in the way that they stacked the box against Derrick Henry, and maybe the Ravens got out coached a little bit. The Ravens made some adjustments in the second half. By the time they did to get Henry going, it was a little bit too late. But this is not a defense that really scares anyone, and I think it's a little soft. I think they're just not very good when they go up against, and when the Bills go up against top 10 defenses on the road this year, it hasn't been a good result. This Chiefs defense is incredibly underrated. This team reminds me, this 2024 Chiefs team reminds me a lot of the 03-04 Patriots. The 03-04 Patriots were both kind of the same team. The one difference was that the 04 Patriots had Corey Dillon at running back. That was a huge difference. So I think they remind me a little more of the 03 Patriots that had Antoine Smith as their lead back. Similarly, the Chiefs at running back are not great at all. They don't have like a great running back that scares you. They don't really have any great receivers, let's face it, that scare you either. They have some pretty good guys. I mean, the Patriots of 03, it was Tom Brady throwing the ball to, who was it? David Patton, David Gibbons, Troy Brown, Deion Branch, just sort of distributing it and spreading the wealth around, no tight end. This team is kind of similar to that, I think. You don't really, you when the game's over, you won, the defensive coordinator wonders how did they do that. And I see Patrick Mahomes making plays with his legs in this game against the soft Bills defense. He knows how to move those chains, extend some plays, give his receivers time to get open, and then I think he's gonna make some runs in this game that we haven't seen a lot recently. The Bills, they think they can win this game. That's good, but the Chiefs, they know they can win this game, right? Because they've done it in the playoffs over and over. Last week after the game, Tracy Wolfson again interviewing Josh Allen right after the game, and I've got it on video if you want to check it out. He messed his pants pretty badly once you mention the Chiefs again. I don't know why CBS keeps putting her in that position to be right there when he's soiling his pants on national television. But he's going to do it again, live again. He's going to crap hard in this game. Ron Howard, the coach for the Bills, will be gagging as well. I think Tyler Bass, the kicker, may gag as well. They want no part of the Chiefs. All right. So I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with this game being kind of low scoring. The weather here should be fairly decent. I think it kind of favors the Bills a little bit as far as like the weather is concerned. All right, so we have. I'm going to go with I really like that Chiefs defense. I'm going to go with the Chiefs holding the Bills to 17 points, and then the Chiefs 28. All right. Patrick Mahomes goes to his 5th Super Bowl, joining only Tom Brady, John Elway, the other 2 quarterbacks to start in 5 Super Bowls. Frank's pick. The line. Let's do this real quick. So this is another huge surprise. So this was 1.5 for a while, but it's now a 2 point. Okay. In Pick'ems, very surprising. The Bills are at 66% KC at one math here. 34%. Explain to me why you guys believe more in the Commanders winning on the road than you do the Chiefs winning at home. Very wild, guys. I don't get that at all. All right, so those are my picks. What are your picks? Andy, what's your final picks? Let's see what it looks like if Frank is right. No, Frank has been only 500 in the playoffs. 3-3 in wild card weekend, 2-2 last week. If that continues, I'm going to miss one of these. But let's see what happens if Frank Addington nails them both. Let's see what it's going to look like.
In 2 Sundays.